Let me guess. You're looking at this pan thinking, this is a death trap. We've all been there before. The meat goes in, something's happening. There's steam, there's noise. It looks like cooking, but what's actually happening is you're boiling your food from the outside in. You try to flip your food and it's glued to the pan, literally. Don't get me started on the cleanup job afterward. Here's the thing. People ask all the time about equipment. What pan to get? Stainless steel, carbon steel, non-stick, titanium? Quality equipment is important, but without a solid understanding of technique, and specifically how to manage heat on whatever equipment you choose, you won't get the results you want. The number one reason food sticks to your pan, it steams instead of sears and comes out shredded and maybe gray instead of golden brown, is likely that your pan isn't hot enough when the food goes in. Not a little underheated, not close. Most home cooks are cooking on a pan that's dramatically underpowered for what they're trying to do. And here's why it keeps happening. Recipes almost never tell you that medium-high heat, what it actually means in terms of temperature. They tell you to heat the oil until shimmering, but if you've never seen what a properly shimmering pan looks like, that instruction is useless. It's like telling someone to drive until the road looks ready. Today, I'm going to give you 2 tests you can actually use to know when your pan is ready. I'm going to cook 3 different proteins, chicken, steak, and fish, and show you exactly what happens when you get the temperature right. Let's start with some science. Watch. Underheated pan. The water just spreads and evaporates. Nothing interesting is happening here. Now, same pan, same water, different temperature. See how those droplets bead up and move? That's the Leidenfrost point. That is your green light. The skate tells you the pan surface has crossed the threshold where it can actually sear food instead of steam it. The moment protein touches that surface, moisture on the outside flashes off immediately and the crust can form. Do you need to understand the physics to cook well? No. But you need to know the visual cue. Beads and skates, that's your test. All right, first protein, chicken. Make sure you pat it really dry. Moisture on the surface is your enemy. It'll steam before it can sear. Paper towels, be thorough. Medium-high heat, not the highest setting. You want to heat the pan through, not scorch it. High heat to preheat, medium-high to cook. Leave it alone. I know you want to move it, don't. The food will tell you when it's ready to move. If it's sticking, it's not done with the pan yet. Wait. The crust will release the food naturally, just like this. If you force it, you'll tear the crust off. Now, a big piece of chicken like this, I might flip a few times to develop a nice even browning. You may have noticed earlier I only used salt to season the chicken. Be careful with ground spices and even pepper at this stage. There's a high risk of burning before you've developed the golden crust you want on the surface of your meat. I'd recommend applying those spices and pepper toward the end of the cooking process. When I'm happy with the crust and the color, I'll add in some butter, herbs, and garlic to reinforce flavor. There are other advantages to butter basting in a pan, but we'll talk about that another time. Another great tool to have in the kitchen is an instant read thermometer. It's almost foolproof to know when to take things off the heat. For a thick piece of meat like this, I'll often transfer to a sheet tray with a rack to finish in an oven set around 375 to 400 Fahrenheit. Now there are bits stuck to this pan, as you can see. That's a good thing. The fond developed from the browning process from Maillard reaction is flavor you can harvest with bitter water or any other liquid. If we've done a good enough job managing the heat in the pan, we shouldn't have burned this precious resource. Alright, protein number 2, steak. I'm using an instant read thermometer to guide me to the right preheated temperature in the pan. On a stainless steel pan with a reflective surface, it'll only read around 200 degrees Fahrenheit when ready. My oil's shimmering, my seasoned and patted dry steak goes in. Be sure to lay the meat away from you so that any oil splatter is directed away from you. That sound. Now we're cooking. Again, don't touch it. The crust is forming and you want to see it. Let it be. The meat will release on its own when it's done with the pan. Heat is perfectly fine turned down to a medium right now. Patience. Look at that. A nice brown crust end to end over the whole surface. That's what we want to see. I'm using my instant read thermometer again to tell me how far along I am. I'm targeting around 125 degrees Fahrenheit today to take this off the heat. Now, and only now, butter goes in. If you put butter in at the start, it would burn. Fat has already done the work. Butter finishes it. Tilt the pan, spoon the foam over the steak. The aromatics infuse into the butter and into the crust. You've eaten this at a steakhouse and wondered what they did differently. This is it. For a steak this thick, you're absolutely going to want to rest it, probably 10 minutes. The muscle fibers are still contracting from the heat. If you cut it now, the juices run out onto the board. If you wait, they redistribute. It's not a myth. It really matters. Final protein today, some steelhead trout. Fish is the one that intimidates people the most. The skin sticks, the flesh falls apart. But once you understand the pan temperature principle and how to judge it, fish is actually straightforward. It just requires more patience than the others. Make sure you dry the skin completely. Any moisture will create a steam barrier between the skin and the pan, and the skin won't crisp. It'll stick and tear. I've salted the skin side just before preheating the pan. Salt draws out moisture, and I don't want the skin pulling moisture while it waits. If you see any moisture buildup, pat it dry before going in the pan. Lay the fish skin side down and again away from you to minimize oil splatter toward yourself. You'll notice the fillet will try to buckle as the skin tightens from the heat. You don't want the fish to have an air pocket where steam can prevent the skin from getting an even crisp. Hold it flat for maybe 15 to 20 seconds, and after that, you can let it go. The skin has set. The fillet is going to look raw on top for some time. That's fine. You're cooking it from the bottom up. This is also why we want to keep our burner around a medium or even medium low. That way, you can develop a crisp skin and allow the heat to work its way up through the flesh. Awesome. The skin's already released from the pan. Don't forget to salt the other side if you haven't done so already. When I see the cooked color has reached about 70% of the way up, I can now begin to butter baste with some aromatics. Give this a flip, and look at that crust. Just what we want. The flesh side shouldn't take more than 20 seconds. We've already cooked the fish most of the way through on the skin side. Skin side up when you plate, always. You just made that skin crispy. Don't put it face down and ruin it. That skin should shatter when you press it with a fork. If it does, you got the temperature right. 3 proteins, 1 pan, 1 principle. The thing that connects all 3 is the same thing we started with. The pan has to be ready before the food goes in. Not kind of ready, not close, ready. Learn the Leidenfrost bead. Get a laser thermometer if you want certainty. It's the patience to let the conditions be right before you start. Everything else follows. If this was useful to you, and you've ever pulled something out of the pan and wondered why it looked nothing like what you imagined, I'd love to know which protein gives you the most trouble. Drop it in the comments. And if you want more of this, techniques unlocked, broken down for the way you actually cook at home, please subscribe. No shortcuts, no gimmicks, just the real stuff explained simply. I'll see you on the next one.